Daniel had been lying in bed for nearly an hour, staring at the ceiling fan as it clicked softly with every turn. His apartment was usually filled with the distant sounds of the city, cars passing, muffled conversations, the occasional barking dog. But tonight there was nothing, just silence. He had almost drifted into sleep when the sharp buzz of his phone jolted him awake. He groaned, reaching lazily toward the nightstand, expecting to see some unknown number or maybe a friend calling too late. But when his eyes adjusted to the glow of the screen, his hand froze in midair. The phone was ringing, and the caller ID showed his own name, his own number. He wasn't calling himself, and no one else should have been able to. For a moment, his chest tightened. He thought it had to be a glitch, just some technical error. But the ringing continued, steady and insistent, as if demanding to be answered. His hand trembled as he picked up the phone, his thumb hovering over the screen. He told himself it was nothing. Maybe the carrier was glitching. Maybe someone spoofed his number. But the unease in his stomach only grew heavier. Finally, with a shaky breath, he swiped to answer. At first there was nothing, just the faint crackle of static, the kind that made the hair on the back of his neck rise. "Hello?" he whispered. Silence. And then he heard it. A voice. His voice. The words were faint, like they were being spoken directly into his ear through the phone's speaker. "Don't turn around." Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs so hard it hurt. He sat up fully now, every muscle locked in place, the phone pressed tight against his ear. The voice continued, low and breathy, but the words were unmistakable. It was his own tone, his own pitch, his exact voice. He wanted to scream, but couldn't bring himself to. He didn't even dare to breathe. On the other end, his double whispered again, calm but urgent. "It's already here." Daniel's hand shook violently, nearly dropping the phone. He knew there was no one else in the room. He lived alone. And yet, the way the voice said those words made him feel like he wasn't alone at all. He dared to glance away from the phone, just briefly, scanning the room with frantic eyes. His dresser, his closet, the mirror against the far wall. Nothing seemed out of place, until his gaze landed on his reflection. His reflection sat on the bed too, just as he did. The same posture, the same expression. But there was one horrifying difference. His reflection wasn't holding a glowing phone. Its hands were empty, resting on its lap, yet its head tilted slightly, as if amused by his terror. Daniel blinked rapidly, hoping it was just the blur of his tired eyes. But when he looked again, the reflection still sat there, smiling faintly, waiting. And then he heard it, a sound that made his veins run cold. Breathing, slow, heavy, steady breathing coming from behind him. It was close, so close he swore he could feel the warmth on the back of his neck. His own breaths were rapid and shallow, panicked gasps, but the sound in the room was calm, patient, controlled. The voice returned through the phone, this time harsher, almost a hiss. "Don't turn." Around Daniel's grip on the phone faltered, his instincts screaming at him to run, to flee. But his legs wouldn't move, his whole body locked in place as the air in the room thickened with dread. He couldn't take it anymore. Against every warning in his mind, Daniel spun around in one swift motion. The room looked empty, the space behind him clear. Relief surged for half a second, until his eyes fell on the closet. The door was open, just slightly. He knew for certain he had shut it earlier. Now it stood ajar, the inside blacker than the rest of the room, an unnatural kind of darkness that seemed to swallow light. His throat tightened. Every instinct told him not to approach, but his gaze was locked on that sliver of shadow, waiting for it to move. His phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor with a sharp crack, the sound echoing through the room. The screen glowed faintly, illuminating the carpet near the closet door. And then he heard it, a chuckle, low, familiar. It was his own laugh, distorted, dragging on too long, filling the room with something inhuman. From the closet came the voice again, no longer through the phone but alive in the air around him. "I told you not to look." The words slithered into his mind, cold and final. He stumbled backward, but the shadows in the closet shifted. Something was waiting in there, something wearing his voice. The neighbors swore they heard him scream, one long, guttural cry that tore through the walls just after midnight. By the time the police arrived, Daniel's apartment was silent. The bed was neatly made, his clothes still folded on the dresser, dinner dishes in the sink. There were no signs of a struggle, no broken locks, no forced entry. But his phone still lay on the floor where he had dropped it, the screen cracked, the call history showing dozens of missed calls, every single one from his own number. To this day, no trace of Daniel has ever been found. His family insists he would never just disappear, and his neighbors refuse to talk about that night. But some say if your phone ever rings in the middle of the night and you see your own number flashing on the screen, don't answer. Because if you do, you'll hear a voice that sounds just like yours. And if you listen closely, you might realize it isn't coming from the phone at all. It's already in the room with you. Thank you for watching. If you found this story chilling, subscribe for more real-life horrors and mysteries. The truth is out there, waiting to be uncovered.